at any rate, they sent us a letter to cease discharge to the stormwater and to remove it from the stormwater system as soon as possible. I guess the notice is notice to cease illicit, connected, and unpermitted discharge. Took a while to figure that title out. Anyway, so the task right now is for the board to approve relocation of that from the storm drain to the sewer. Essentially, we'd be installing a new sewer manhole in the middle of the street on the existing sewer line, disconnecting it from the storm drain, and making other modifications at the well site to comply with separation standards between the water discharge and the sewer manhole, or what would be the sewer manhole in the well yard. The initial estimates for the proposed manhole work are $22,520, with an additional $5,000 to $10,000 depending on the difficulty of actually doing the work inside the well yard. That $5,000 to $10,000 would generally be done by district labor. The $22,000 would be by contractor. This would all fall under our general blanket encroachment permit. The county has indicated via their letter that they're not going to charge us more fees, which is super welcome.
Nice.
But it is a big project. The main right there is about 12 feet deep, and there's utilities all around it. So, again, the request right now is for the board to approve or authorize the contract to perform work necessary to make the required changes to well number 4 discharge and remove the discharge from county storm drain system, approving a budget adjustment to the fiscal year 2024-25 budget for water fund object 517 in the amount of $32,000, and authorize transfer from water capital reserve to water operational cash in the amount actually expended up to a maximum of $32,000. If you don't quite get that last part, basically we're requesting $32,000 to be transferred. However, it's not just an automatic transfer when the project is complete. If the project comes in and we're all done and it's $25,000, that's what actually gets transferred from capital reserve. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Mr. Callis?
I actually have a question. First off, comment. Thank you for answering my questions the other day regarding this item. Second off, I don't know if I missed this part, but if I'm not mistaken, the county around 2004 actually did a drainage study in this community, and actually was supposed to have mapped out the drainage systems. And so they did this big old study, big ass book, and somehow still missed this.
So, yeah, I don't recall that, but I'm sure they did. But there's a lot of changes that happened in stormwater capture, stormwater regulation that we don't comply with currently. I mean, we could pursue a permit to discharge to the river. However, long term, that would cost a lot more than discharging to our own system.
That's all. Thank you.
No comment. No comment.
I got a comment. A couple questions. Okay, so right now, the waste coming out of well number 4, because you're flushing the tank apparently every now and then, right? And it goes into the sewer, the storm sewer
Yes.
pipe?
Yes.
And it goes to the river, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what you're proposing is to do away with that and pump it into the treatment plant.
Yes.
That don't make any sense.
Well, we can't pump it to the river, I guess is the point.
Yeah, well, I do a little bit of research before.
What would you like me to research?
I'd like you to find out, check with, because that's what, all the storm sewers everywhere goes to the lowest point. And our lowest point is the river.
Yeah. So the issue is right now that the stormwater regulation is such that if we as a discharger wanted to discharge to a storm drain that went to a navigable waterway, then we have to have a permit from the agency having stormwater authority in that area. That agency is the county. The county is responsible to manage it at a level acceptable to the state. The state says if we were to do that, we have to do constant testing of that water. It's not considered stormwater because it's not coming in a storm event, and it's not coming in the normal channels off the street, off a roof, off a yard, whatever, which realistically is much dirtier than the water we're putting in there. But for us to discharge to the storm drain, we would have to get a permit from the county to do that. We would have to provide regular testing of that water to the satisfaction of the county to prove that we're not negatively affecting the river. And if we do, for some reason, have something introduced into that water and a sample comes back and says, oh, well, we had chlorine in there. Doesn't work that way at that well, but if we had chlorine in there and they say, oh, well, you had chlorine in there, it went to the river, that's a violation of your discharge permit, and that's, whatever the cost is, $1,000, $10,000, those fines are ridiculous. But so my point earlier was that either we move it to the stormwater system, which is what the county wants, because they don't want to have us on as a discharger, and we control that water, and we recycle that water in the future, or, that's really the two options. Either we become a discharger and have an annual permit for the rest of the time that that's happening, or we discharge to our sanitary sewer and basically recycle that water.
Well, can I make a motion?
We don't think we have public comment.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Have any public comment? Seeing none? I'll entertain a motion at this point.
I'd like to make a motion that we go for the permit from the county. And where we keep it like it is now, put it where it belongs, in a storm cellar or storm sewer, and let it run into the river, where two of our wells, that's where we get our water from. And that particular well right there comes from the river basin. They don't come from the main basin,
So what's your motion?
Make a motion to cancel this and go after getting a permit from the county or whoever to keep it like it is and run any discharge from that well into the sewer where it should be.
Do we have a second? Seeing none, that dies for lack of a second. I'll entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
Just for clarification, would that be significantly more expensive, as you were saying?
So if we were to get a permit to discharge to the stormwater system, that would be an NPDES permit, stormwater discharge permit. That would have to go through both the county and the state. Our current permit at the treatment, or our previous permit at the treatment plant was roughly $20,000 per year. I would estimate that this permit would be probably in the neighborhood of $10,000 a year, depending on how much we actually flush into that. Not to mention any testing that was required as part of a permit condition.
That doesn't make sense.
So it is an option. It's in their letter, they are not giving that as an option, but we could pursue that.
Right, so you have requirements coming down from the county, and the county is getting their requirements coming down from the state.
Right.
So welcome to California. It's just going to get more and more, even though maybe it doesn't make sense, Director Davis, but this is California. So, right. I motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor by Director Gregory for water well number 4 water discharge relocation authorization, budget adjustment, transfer from water capital reserves by Resolution 2024-39, second by Director Smiley. Vote, Director Davis,
No.
Director Talons,
Yes.
Director Gregory,
Yes.
Director
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Passes 3-1-1.
Moving on to item 5. Yeah, item 5, accept sanitary sewer lining and manhole rehabilitation condition assessment report.
So this item is to discuss and adopt the technical memorandum, sanitary sewer lining and manhole rehabilitation condition assessment report, as prepared by WSC, who is our district engineer. 2018, the district applied for a grant to do this work from the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. We received that grant earlier last year in June to video and prepare a condition assessment report for essentially all of the clay lines that the district has, which is predominantly west of Mission Street and the N Street corridor. So the grant funds paid for video and inspection of 87 sewer main sections and 79 manholes. Those are on figure 2.1 or 2-1 of the report. And it will also fund our preparation of 90% construction plans. So depending on the scope of what the district decides to do in the future, it'll pay up to pay to prepare a 90% plan, which is enough to go after construction funding. They're all inspected to NASCO standards, which is National Association of Sewer Service Companies, and Pipeline Assessment Certification Program, which is our Pipeline Assessment Certification Program, PACP. All the lines that were assessed were rated based on rating 1 through 5, depending on the defects found and the likelihood of failure. For the sewer mains, 87 mains were inspected, 31 of which were assigned an LOF, likelihood of failure, score of 4 or more, and that is in table 4-1 of the report. And of the manholes, 79 manholes were inspected, 16 were assigned a LOF, likelihood of failure, score of 3 or more, and that is shown in table 4-2 and table 4-3. The 16 manholes have a variety of defects, most commonly a frame and cover replacement or reset, meaning repairs to the flow channels and benches, removal of rungs, repair and coating of the interior of the manhole. The next phase of the project will be to develop a PER, a preliminary engineering report. Basically, the PER is a report that is generated outlining what will be done, why we were doing it, what the options are. Right now, all we're asking is for the board to discuss and then adopt or accept this report, and then we'll continue forward on the other grant-related activities to develop repair plans and construction documents in order to move forward with the construction application. I don't know if anybody had a chance to go through the report. It's pretty detailed on the different options that are available. Most likely, given the defects that were found in our sewer mains, most of them would be able to have a blown-in lining, which would be theoretically the cheapest option, as opposed to having to dig anything up.
Collins, you have any comment?
Not at this time. Thank you for the report.
Dr. Gregory?
So just looking on page 236, little colorful diagram there. So number 6 is the highest priority, right? The purple is the highest
Yes.
priority?
Yes.
Okay. So, that must be the oldest, I realize it's the oldest, but some of them are, is kind of interesting. Any rhyme or reason why, like there's one by the Mission a little bit, that's the purple.
So the purple line that's located near the Mission, that is a line which suffered greatly from settling. So the manhole identified as 7-10 settled, and that entire line is now sloping the wrong way. Luckily, it's only the Mission,
Right.
so it's not a high volume line.
It's only
The two lines that are towards the top of the page, that are on the left, that are purple, the one on K Street, that one has a, it used to actually connect to homes that were on where the freeway is now. So there's a manhole there, 5-01, that's a manhole, which actually, the contractor that had put in the water tank and put in the new water lines down K Street, cut through the sewer line and never fixed it. But fortunately, that's the end of the line because it used to go to the houses on the freeway, which are no longer there. I don't recall offhand the condition of the one that's in the alley. There is a lot of tree roots in that alley, so it's possible that has just tree root intrusion.
Yeah, so the ones that have tree root intrusion, does the lining, they have to, is the liner going to be able to use on those?
So, where the liner, when the liner is used, they go through and they basically scour the inside of the pipe, cut out anything that's in there. So any laterals that protrude into the main, they cut those back. They cut any roots that are in there, they cut them back so that they're flush with the pipe.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the little
In some
liner.
cases, if you have like a large elevation discrepancy at a joint where you have one joint that's come up and the other one's fallen down, we'll have to go in and fix that, and then they can line it.
So like the one at the Adobe, at the Mission, that one's going to have to be,
That will have to be dug up and replaced.
yeah, okay. So what I was wondering, looking at fee schedule and all that kind of stuff, is there anything, are you looking at some of the hired, your employees to be able to do any of the manhole work maybe or something like that?
So we don't have the personnel trained or the equipment to line manholes. It's possible that we could use our labor to do things like cut the rungs off.
Yeah.
And we could go in and we could reset the grade rings, which is the ring that holds the manhole lid. It just depends really on where they're at and what the actual problem is. We have a lot of manholes where the grade ring was raised over the years and all they did was just stack little pieces of brick to hold it up and then paved around it and called it a day. So there's actually not a whole lot holding things together.
Interesting.
So things like replacing grade rings, we can do that. But that's the type of thing where if you're going to do that, you want to do them all and then be able to come back and coat the inside of all the ones that need to be coated.
Right.
So there is things that we can do, like that one that I said that was cut off. That's on our staff list to dig it up and deal with the end of it.
Okay.
Whereas currently it's just a bunch of dirt filling the hole.
Okay.
So we'll take care of stuff like that. Depending on funding availability or grant availability, we may do some of the manhole rings that are the worst ones and take care of those, or we may just bundle them all together as a contract and have a contractor do them.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I had.
That's it. I have nothing, Director Davis. Nothing?
I had something I actually wanted to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
I know historically there were some sewer lines that were actually on top of water lines that was done decades ago. Is that situation still exist or has that been resolved?
Well, generally, the water line's on top of the sewer line.
Right.
But they are, in the alleys, they are very close to each other. The project that you guys approved to go out to bid earlier for the line in the alley between the Mission Street alley, when that's rebuilt, that will create the separation it needs to have. Unfortunately, we don't have the funds, and generally the funds aren't available as grant funds to go through and relocate the water lines in all of the alleys. Because all of the alleys are so narrow that the water and sewer lines are not, they don't have the separation they're supposed to have.
Right, and that's also why I was curious how many situations we have where we have both a failing sewer line and possibly a failing water line, so we can prevent cross-contamination of the systems.
Well, that is one good thing that came out of this. None of the lines that they videoed had any sort of water intrusion at joints. So if we do have a leaking water main onto the sewer main, it's not making it into the sewer main.
That's good. Yeah. My other concern would be sewer water leaking into the water as well.
Well, we do a pretty good job, I think, with our sewer mains, and years ago we purchased a sewer jetter, so every year we clean the entire system. And since we've been doing that, we haven't had any real problems with backups. The one problem that we do have is actually Prado Road because of all the roots that are in it. So that one gets a little bit more attention, but we haven't really had any problems with backups since we started that program.
Good. Public comment? None? I have consensus to accept that.
Do you need a vote on this?
Just consensus is fine.
I'm okay with it. Anthony?
Yeah, fine.
Oh, I'm fine, yeah. Okay, we're good.
It was a fun read.
Yeah.
Had some pretty pictures.
I liked it. I did like it.
Circles and everything.
Yeah.
On the item 6, censure of Director Owen Davis regarding the conduct on May 23rd, 2024 meeting, approved by 3/5. I'll call on council to address this, please.
Sure. On May 23rd, 2024, during consideration of an item regarding the water rate increase, when Director Calvins was called upon to vote, Director Davis said to Director Calvins, "You've got an election coming up," which appears to be an attempt to influence Director Calvin's vote on that item. Director Calvins abstained and expressed his discontent with the comment. On June 27th, 2024, after reviewing the meeting video from that meeting, President Smiley requested a resolution to censure Director Davis for his engagement in political activity on the dais in an attempt to influence the vote of another director. And it was placed on a future agenda. It was seconded by Director Gregory. The district does not currently have a board policy for reprimand, official reprimand. Therefore, the resolution of censure is limited to a public admonishment. There isn't any punishment or reprimand or anything that comes along with it other than it is mostly an opportunity for the board to express its discontent and that it does not condone the behavior described in the resolution.
Thank you. Director Cowell, do you have any comment?
Not at this time, Mr. President.
Okay. Director Gregory?
It's unfortunate that we don't in our handbook because this sort of thing has happened repeatedly. So that might be something that we need to change.
Okay. I agree with that. I hope that we can put something on a future agenda starting tonight to move that forward. That's all comment I have. Dr. Davis?
It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's called freedom of speech. I didn't insult anybody, you know. It's called freedom of speech. I was just reminding Director Calvin's, you know, and I didn't call him a name or anything like that. I just said, don't forget, there's an election coming up, because he's always commented that he never voted for a rate increase. It was always somebody else. So I was just mentioning to him, don't forget there's an election coming up. I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, freedom of speech.
Public comment?
Thank you, Chairperson. Gregory. I've come here quite a bit, as you guys know. I like all of you, and I think that sometimes things get a little heated because some people don't like the way other people ask questions. I can relate this to something that happened Tuesday at the Board of Supervisors, where one of the supervisors, we had like an hour and 45 minutes for lunch. And then she showed up 10 minutes late because she fell asleep at her house because she went home for lunch. Didn't apologize to anybody, for the rest of the people that were sitting in the whole building and the other supervisors. And then later on that particular thing, made a comment that it's too bad that Supervisor Arnold has to make this serious vote, and that this resolution should be called the stupid resolution. And if you don't vote for it, well, obviously, guess what? And then criticize the person who they were trying to do the thing against. Now, they have a form, I like your form, but they have a form that is a yellow form, and on the back of that, they have a civility code and all this stuff. And she broke 5 of the 5 things they have on the back. You guys have never done anything like that, but I'm just using that as a thing. That happens on a regular basis down there. You can watch it on video. It's amazing to me. And I think that people sometimes get frustrated and they say things, or people get upset because they don't understand if somebody's making a joke or not making a joke. And for whatever Mr. Davis said, you were up for election too. He didn't say nothing to you because you're not sitting next to him. Maybe if he would have been sitting next to you and not sitting next to Mr. Collins, maybe he would have said, you know, Renee, there's an election coming up. So,
I'm just meaner.
yeah, you would. But like I said, I think a lot of times we can just, you know, once in a while, you gotta just let things go. And if somebody would have said that to me, I said, I understand, thank you. No, it didn't mean that. But that's all I want to say, thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay. At this time, I make a motion.
Mr. President.
You want to say something?
I do want to say something. My fellow colleagues, I'm a lifelong resident of this town. I went to our local elementary school, and I've been a proud member of the local Lions Club for over 21 years. As a person who spent their youth here, I have a unique experience that has led me to form different political viewpoints than others in this room. Also, as many of you know, I'm an Asian American with immigrant roots, and I'm the only Asian American to have ever served this community. I can say wholeheartedly that I have been extremely concerned about the actions of Director Davis. Director Davis has consistently sought to threaten the safety of myself, my family, and others he has disagreed with. The first threat I ever received from him was in September of 2021, in which he posted on social media saying, "Dead Calvins." He wrote that. Crystal Laura, the moderator, admonished him and warned him about that.
That's a freaking lie.
It's not a lie. I have it right here. Do you want to see it?
Point of order, we got a director that's making a comment.
It's not a lie. I also have the wording from Crystal R saying that she also warned you about that comment. That's why I have screenshots. In March of 2022, he showed his true colors when I watched Ward Browning, a veteran, first responder, and a board member, have medical crisis. The meeting was stopped, and our fire chief was asked to perform first aid. The ambulance was called to the meeting. Director Davis, despite even seeing that, having a fight with Director Ward Browning, demanded a complaint to be filed against him, not even asking a veteran, first responder, and a board member if he was okay. He sent this certified letter about Ward Browning. He actually wanted it filed right after the ambulance was called. It is on video recording. Director Davis's actions have caused the sheriff to be at the meetings, and Director Davis's continued behavior has culminated with the May 2024 threat that this board has been reviewing tonight. Director Davis, along with associates, have sought to silence my voice. Even at the meeting last month, Director Davis complained about me talking about critical policy issues, a core part of my elected duty. He has viewed my own life with disdain and showed no remorse after the November 2023 board meeting in which he was called out for inciting hatred and threats against those he disagreed with, even when he was called out directly in this meeting. His grievances towards myself include complaining about board authorized requests to spend legal time to lower property taxes, legal research to restore youth sports to the community, which would have benefited underprivileged Latino youth at a rate of 4, which resulted in a $2.34 increase. I actually have my water bill in front of me showing that my bill went up $2.34. It is tragic that he views my life as worth less than a candy bar. He has never once backed any of my efforts to increase transparency and instead sought to slander my reputation and told lies about my employment. Fortunately, I have been employed. I work full-time down in South County. I have my work badge with me. My family has discussed this issue at length. My girlfriend has been very upset for years over this behavior. And they had believed that if I was to run again, who knows what would have happened to me. I wholeheartedly believe that my civil rights to participate in the electoral process have been violated. Perhaps that is why there will be no election for the C.S.D. board come November. I hereby ask the board to move to censure Director Davis and consider any other actions deemed necessary. Director Davis, if you think my life is worth less than $2, you can have my $2. I have served for this board for almost 12 years. I've never seen such behavior that I've experienced from anything from being here. And that is all. Thank you.
Can I give a rebuttal on that?
You may.
Everything Mr. Calvin just said is a darn right, outright lie.
I am honored to submit all my stuff for the record.
You don't have any proof. The only thing I remember